Mizkif might have actually started a demon time. Mizkif is claiming that he sent someone to listen to and write down and take notes at the trial, or I guess hearing, to extend a protective order against Tectone from his ex-girlfriend, Pinkchu. I do sometimes refer to Pinkchu as his ex-wife. I apologize. She is not his ex-wife, just ex-girlfriend. He already had issues with a previous ex-wife, which gets brought up, and that's where I got mixed up. This is a civil case. Apparently, we will be getting the transcripts going public live in regard to this case very soon, but Mizkif has been dropping some potential bombshells in regard to that case about the fact that Tectone has lost, and some very, very interesting details in there. Things like Tectone being forced to pay all legal fees that his ex had incurred over the time of this, as well as a gun ban, a protective order. Also, almost forgot, Mizkif shows alleged proof that Tectone has been viewbotting, and he has like actual receipts for the viewbots, which again, we'll get into. Now keep in mind, this is Mizkif we're talking about. This guy minces his words a lot. I would not take everything he is saying here as scripture. We're going to be looking at it as it's coming out and the public stuff is out, and we'll be able to compare the two. But Miz, as you may know, has a track record of not being the most reliable guy with how he shares information and ideas. But he has been bringing some interesting receipts, and to forge this entire transcript that he had someone taking down would be very interesting and doing a lot of effort for a payout that would just result in more public backlash to him. And also a potential defamation lawsuit from Tectone himself. So he really is not incentivized to be super deceitful here. Additionally, towards the end of this video, I'm going to be covering the transcripts that I had screenshotted from Mizkif, going over this, that being his notepad that he had written out. And we're going to read some of that just separate to Mizkif reading it off to try to make sense of some other points in regard to Tectone and some allegations that came out against him in the court hearing. And last thing before we jump in, we are 1,500 subs short of 100,000. If you're new here, it would mean the world to me if you subscribed. And if you're already subbed, ask your mom, ask your brother, sister, hey, you know this Quintio guy? He makes like drama slob. He's a little milkman guy. See, I'm a little milkman guy. Just encourage them to sub. We get this nice little silver play button right here. But regardless, if you do that, or if you like the video, perchance hype it. I hope you enjoy this one, and thank you for watching. Now, I've went ahead and done my best to order this in a way that I think you'd find interesting, and I've only included the clips that I found to be the most interesting or providing some information. Some of them just seem to be at Mizkif's benefit, where he just kind of wanted to shove some stuff in the face of Tectone and thinking he's weird. So I'm just going to keep it to the main stuff. So starting off here, Mizkif claims Tectone lost the court case with Pinkchu today and has to pay all her legal fees on top of a restraining order.
I want to make sure that I have it properly. But these are factual things. Tectone went to court today and he lost the court case for sexual assault against Pinkchu. He lost. He lost the court case. It was civil. Tectone lost the court case, and Tectone has to pay all of her legal fees for the past 2 years. Tectone got a restraining order on him months ago.
So very big claims, obviously, losing the court case, having to pay all those lawyer fees, and having a restraining order placed against him. Now, obviously, these are very big claims, not a lot other than Mizkif saying it. Of course, we'll be able to verify this when the public transcripts come out. But additionally, Tectone is not reacting to this in the way that you would expect him to, given who he is as a content creator, and also given if you were being lied about in regard to a court case you won and people are saying you lost it, or the details of it, how you would respond to that. It wouldn't be like this. He says on Twitter, just for clarity's sake, yeah, I'll be talking about everything when I get back to streaming. Just got to finish a couple more things, don't worry. And then following that up with, will be addressed with the elephant in the Sahara, in the room. Now that was his one message talking about it. The other tweets that he's put out have not been talking about any of this at all, while all of this has been blowing up on LSF, things like that. For those who don't know, Tectone is a YouTuber, mainly streamer. From my understanding, he's on Twitch, Kick, everything here, and he covers political stuff. He's really turned into just talking about politics for last couple of years, I guess, maybe last 2 years. And he also talks commentary drama stuff. As you can see, Iron Mouse, Nina Lynn, etc. He was also part of OTK, or Mythic Talent. Past tense, was. Now, strangely enough, yesterday, Mythic Talent ended up putting out a post here. We have terminated our relationship with Tectone. Several months ago, we initiated our separation process, and recently, coincidentally, we have finalized his departure. Now, keep in mind, this was like around the same time that Mizkif was streaming yesterday, or just a little bit beforehand, where he ends up leaking even more information in regard to this trial. But I figure if it ends up being true that he lost it, all this stuff, that Mythic probably would have known about that, being that they had a relationship with Tectone. And so it kind of makes sense, and it's interesting that they are coming out and saying it now that they have absolutely terminated their relationship. Just kind of is lining everything up. Continuing on though, another post from LSF here. Mizkif claims that the judge ordered Tectone to delete content of Pingshu from his phone or face criminal charges. Now again, the reason he has this is he apparently sent someone to listen in and write down notes during this last hearing. And so he had somebody apparently transcribing as much as they could, over 7 hours worth of notes, to give information about what was going on.
Pink was abused and sexually assaulted, and she won her court case yesterday. She didn't just win her court case. All legal things have to be paid for, and Tectone has to have a 10-year protective order. That means that Tectone cannot have guns. He cannot have weapons in his house. That's why he deleted his tweet yesterday. He can't have weapons, period. Also, what he had in his phone was so damning and disgusting about Pingshu that he was ordered by the court to delete it immediately, or he'll be tried for criminal charges.
So damn, 10-year protective order, that's pretty intense, and that does kind of line up. There was a photo Tectone had posted holding a firearm, and if this firearm ban is true, it would make sense that he had deleted that picture. And this is that part where I'm like, take what Mizkif is saying with a grain of salt here in regard to them trying him for criminal charges and forcing him to delete the media that he had of Pingshu on his phone. This could be true, but this could also be, you know, Mizkif's "the fish was this big" story and kind of inflating what they're actually meaning by telling him to delete this stuff. It may just be that he was required to delete this stuff regardless. And moving on, this is where some of the, you know, transcript stuff and notes start to get a bit bizarre. And I just mean even just describing these events. Apparently, Tectone admits in court to using a whiteboard to manipulate Pingshu over consent issues. Now again, the title is a bit misleading. That's not exactly what he's saying. He didn't admit to manipulating Pingshu, just admitting to using the whiteboard. And I'll just let the clip play here.
Just wait, chat. Okay, but that's not true. You actually would sit her down with a whiteboard and go over everything to convince her that she was wrong. I'm failing to see how this two connect, but I don't understand what you, in regard, we've talked about with the whiteboard. And you would sit down with her with the whiteboard, and whatever position she was taking, you were all disagreeing on, correct? If we were having an argument and not seeing eye to eye, and we weren't seeing eye to eye, visual aid really helped her, as well as to me. This dude would pull out a whiteboard to explain why she is wrong about consensual, non-consensual.
Now, you might have heard him talking about this like consent thing or non-consensual whatnot, and this is what he's referring to. He doesn't read it out loud because this is just the clip. It looks like the person talking to Tectone, you know, the person that's going to be questioning him, says, "So isn't that the problem, Tectone, that she views what you did as non-consensual and you just don't see it that way?" And Tectone apparently responded, "I think if I was ever informed a single time that was wrong, I would immediately say, well, then let's not do it, to be completely honest." Person questioning him responds, "Okay, but that's not true. You actually would sit her down with a whiteboard and go over everything to convince her that she was wrong, right?" Tech says, "I'm failing to see how these two connect, but I don't understand what you, in what regard we have talked with a whiteboard." It's a bit muddled here. The questioner says, "Yeah, and you would sit her down with a whiteboard in whatever position she was taking that you all were disagreeing on, correct?" Tech responds, "If we were to have an argument and not seeing eye to eye, and we weren't seeing eye to eye, visual aid really helped her as well as her to me." So that's true. That's fucking insane. Are you, to your spouse, your partner, they're not agreeing with you and you feel so correct that you wheel out a whiteboard to explain your side? And it doesn't look like from here that Tech is specifically saying that in regard to non-consent that he argued about it and pulled out a whiteboard. They were just pressing him on, well, you know, the times that you did disagree, you've claimed that you actually whip out a whiteboard instead of just saying, okay, let's not do things. If I whipped out a whiteboard to make an argument against my wife or any of my friends around me, I would not have a wife and I would be friendless. That ends up being true or that gets corroborated. I'm very interested to see the full transcript because obviously there's a bit of, you know, muddled text here and it's clear that this person was typing and trying their best to keep up. But if that's even partly true, wow. So next up is a very interesting piece. We've kind of seen it before when creators get canceled that they kind of do like a hard pivot. Similar to like Dr. Disrespect. He went very deeply political when the allegations came out against him with, you know, texting that minor through Twitch's whisper stuff. He kind of like really heel turned into being like a very right-wing dude. And I think if we have any old fans of Tectone or anything, again, I haven't really kept up with him and I didn't really watch him before he got very political, but apparently around the time that he got accused of this and started, you know, this court battle even just a couple years ago, it seemed like he hard pivoted into doing political commentary. And I guess I really shouldn't say seemed, he did do that. And he actually apparently makes mention of this and said that it was intentional.
He brought up Hassan Abi saying like how when he shocked his dog, He literally admitted that he had to switch his content and go after creators like Hassan Abi shocking his dog in court.
He actually brought it up too. That is the I was like, what the fuck is this?
They talked about a lot about how he would use to record her without her permission, and how he would threaten to leak those as the big nukes if she didn't recede her claims about him. The judge said he better delete all videos and pictures that he has of her.
So I want to read out more of this from this clip here. So down here it says he defended his rants by saying, when a content creator in our space gets these accusations, they have to pivot content to stay relevant. And then this person is saying that he brought up Hassan, saying like how when he shocked his dog. And this is kind of in lieu of like that political shift where he starts going after Hassan and starts talking more right-wing stuff. Hassan obviously like a pretty left-leaning guy from what I understand. Again, I don't dabble, so apologies. Now this is that main claim, which again, I find interesting, and I'd love to go over the transcripts because if it's even more, you know, specific than that, I'd love to know, because that would kind of be, you know, just him just straight up admitting, yeah, I switched content genres to stay relevant. He switched to political just to stay afloat during this time when he got accused. But continuing on and kind of referring back to some of the earlier stuff we talked about, they talked a lot about how he used to record her without her permission and how he threatened to leak those as the big nukes if she didn't recede her claims about him. The judge said he better delete any and all videos and pictures he might still have of her. So this would make sense as to why the judge wanted to have those deleted. And it also would support this theory about there actually being criminal charges, you know, threatened to be pursued if he didn't. This would be textbook blackmail. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about that one, because like for me, it's just hearing someone say that. And again, time will tell when we have like a confirmed, you know, authentic transcript from the court hearing. If that is what he said, or even close to verbatim what he said, that would be for me the first time that we've seen a content creator just kind of full stop admit, yeah, I switched to like diving into this thing just to, you know, keep views up, keep relevant, and avoid being canceled. It's just very interesting, the difference between, you know, seeing it happen versus admitting to the fact that you consciously made that decision. Now, one of the last clips I want to show you guys before we get into just reading the notes that Mizkif had on screen, Tectone allegedly spent only 15 minutes getting tweets for court case against ex-girlfriend, blames his actions on untreated schizophrenia. And here we have the kick clip from that. I'm just going to read also at the beginning here, because he doesn't read it out loud in this clip, but you can see here down below, he claimed on stream he was a streamer with a blowjob machine. He called her the most forward woman he's ever met, calling her a whore. Apparently, he said he has schizophrenia. He would say, I'll see a face and just melting. So that's where the schizophrenia bit of that title comes from.
So remember what I told you guys, chat, when I said that Tectone's claimed he did so much due diligence and so much of his time was spent getting all the information? How I told you how important it is that if you're in a court case, you should probably have people sending you things and helping you, that you should probably be putting your due diligence into it. This is a quote after showing a few small tweets of being called names. Pulled last second tweets. Could have probably got more. I only spent 15 minutes. Tectone has been in this court case and been involved in this for almost 2 years. He spent 15 minutes getting tweets.
Now you can see here too, I just want to read it off afterwards. The lawyer replied, we've been in deposition for over whatever months, 7 to 9, I think, and you only spent 15 minutes searching for tweets, to which Tectone responded, yes. Now originally, I was like, okay, maybe this title is again misleading, like maybe this is a specific thing that he said he was only searching for 15 minutes, but the fact that the lawyer speaks up and goes, we've been in deposition here for 7 to 9 months, and that's all you did, and he said yes? I know I'm a broken record here. I'm curious to see that confirmed, but that's kind of fucking insane. It also just kind of sounds like someone who either just wanted to put everything to his lawyers. I don't want to speculate too much onto why you wouldn't do more digging on Twitter or literally any other platform for yourself, especially in a court battle, but that just looks a bit weird. So I figured this would be the best place to insert this part in regard to Mizkif claiming and exposing, you know, apparently that Tectone had been viewbotting. And he comes with some interesting receipts. He starts off by showing, you know, this is Tectone. In his phone, it shows up as John Techie Robertson. You're going to be seeing it a lot. And he says that these screenshots came from his phone. I'm pretty sure, based on what you're also going to see, that he's also taking screenshots of messages between 2 other people that must have been sent to him. It's going to make sense later. Just trust me, I don't think Miz and Tech were talking to each other in the way that you're about to see.
This is the bots that were bought. This is Tectone's account, http/Tectone, http/Tectone, 2004, July 26th, quantity 1,000, when in August 4th, quantity 750.
Don't worry about those Viewbot screenshots. We're going to see them later a bit more up close.
This is John Tectone messaging the person that was buying him the bot saying, sad face, can you try that again? I'm stupid and dumb. You just make an account, pay to the top right, and add it to your account. If you need help, let me know. It's good for you to do it anyway since I won't be around. Let me know if you need me to walk through it and I'll help you, which then they tried to help him with secure paying, okay? This is the bots that he bought. This is August 24th, another time he bought bots. XDD, did you buy my bots with the fucking cringe ass emoji? LOL, just say like, because I do my lewd content, I need my own space. Tectone probably shitting on her, because it's true. I'm gonna do sets all over this house, like roleplay in the kitchen. Don't worry, did you get my bots? So Tectone definitely needing her to buy the bots. I could only do 750, but I sent you the link to everything. Sad face, can you try again? I'm stupid and dumb. This is John Robertson. There's Tectone's picture on August 24th, paying $1,000 claiming it's a house when it really was for bots. Why would Tectone pay $1,000 for a house that he owns?
Now, at first, I figured that this was like, yeah, he's paying his mortgage, but secondarily, yeah, it doesn't really make sense that he'd be paying someone that's living at the house that he owns for the mortgage. He would probably just be paying the mortgage through however they're doing it. If anything, they would be sending Tech the money. This does kind of line up with that not really making a whole lot of sense. At the same time, this could be, you know, paying for literally anything else, but, you know, it is strange that he's saying that it's showing an emoji for the home, but we are kind of extrapolating from this.
These are the bots. This was taken on August 24th. August 4th, he bought the bots starting at 70, quantity 750. Quantity 1,000.
I've never seen anything like this. I haven't seen screenshots like this. I don't know how many bot sites there are or like really how that works exactly. For you guys, what that means is I can't verify that these are real screenshots, but you know, just using our brains here, Mizkif already engaged in a defamation lawsuit. In my head, it just doesn't really make as much sense for him to be, you know, presenting stuff that he hasn't either verified himself or genuinely believes to be true and has done a bit of research himself. That doesn't mean that he's infallible. It doesn't mean that he's not a dumbass and he could be platforming something that may end up to be false against Tectone, but I just think it's important to make that clear. I haven't seen anything like this before. If I had to guess what a Twitch botting receipt would look like, it would probably be something like this, but again, you know, take this with a grain of salt. Now, from just the messages, even in this post here, you can see how's it exposing when Tectone has admitted brands or people sometimes viewbot or always tries to, and then someone else saying Tectone always yaps live that his stream is being viewbotted and even urges people to viewbot it. I don't know if being transparent about this, like with your viewer base, necessarily makes it an okay thing to do. And hell, I mean, Mizkif, it looked like he was viewbotting when that whole thing went down with the with Twitch trying to crack down on it for that month in August of last year. Just felt I might as well add the context since it seems like some of Tectone's viewers wanted to bring in their 2 cents as well. Now, this is where I want to transition over to showing the transcripts that Mizkif had put on, because we're not accruing all of the clips of him reading this all out, and I just wanted to take the time to go over some of the other things that had come up in this, you know, transcript written down by, you know, whoever Mizkif sent, because there's some very interesting information that makes Tectone look like a horrible human being with how he treated Pinkchu, and kind of explains a bit that if he did end up actually losing this case like he's being claimed to, the things I'm going to show you make a lot of sense. So here we can see, why would you tell her you can talk about your experience with my client's experiences, blah, 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 when she doesn't name you? Well, 1, because it didn't happen, and 2, because everybody knew, etc. We don't know for sure. They respond back, all right, and you can tell me this is if you ever make her write words on her face. Tectone says yes, and they respond back, okay, and how many times did you record her? A lot. I'm assuming this is, did she tell you no, I don't want to be recorded? And Tech says never. How many times did you actually agree to be recorded? And they respond back, every time she'd hold the camera. And tell me this, you made a reference, I hope this is interesting, about she tried to have a conversation with you about non-consensual versus consensual, and it made you uncomfortable, so you didn't want to discuss it. And then they said, oh, so she said she would be okay with consensual versus non-consensual. Tectone replies back, and again, this is why this is a bit weird, saying because she was bored and didn't want to have vaginal intercourse. They reply, all right, and what did you have her write on her forehead? Tech says, I never had her write slut, but I did have her write come in here with an arrow pointing down. And did you tell that she would have vaginal intercourse with her if she did this and have a normal relationship? Tech says, never, no, that was just dressing up. That's a degrading thing to do to a woman, is that correct? Tech replies, oh, she would frequently cosplay herself. Oh, so she would frequently degrade herself. How does an outfit mean the same as writing derogatory statements on someone's face to come here? He says, I guess I didn't really see it as degrading, and it also kind of her idea to make things on the bedroom. Don't know exactly what that means. So isn't that maybe the problem? This is where we get into the non-consensual, and he talks about the whiteboard stuff. Taking a pause here, again, we'll have it more understood, but it does seem at the very least from that, we're getting that Tectone drew on her face, come in here with an arrow pointing to her mouth. I don't know how, if that's getting brought up to you, that you are fighting in court about that being degrading or not. I understand Tech's position that he's there to defend himself, but that's mind-blowing that is getting argued about. Of course that's fucking degrading. I guess we don't know if she was necessarily into that or not, but the fact that Tectone is comparing that to her cosplaying, it doesn't seem like she was down for it. It doesn't seem like she was up for that. Usually, if that's the case, you'd be saying you want to, or something along those lines, and that's not even referred to by Tectone here himself. Now, this is kind of continuing off of the whiteboard thing here, but it's towards the bottom. I just wanted to show it because there's a bit more to it. And this is what seems to be the person questioning Tectone, alluding to him being manipulative, which was brought up earlier. This is Tectone talking about if we weren't seeing eye to eye, visual aid really helped about the whiteboard. And so he gets questioned again. Okay, you know what corrosive control is, right? And Tech says yes. And you were told that she has memory problems, right? He says, I believe we have had discussions on our memory not being as sharp as it is actually. I'm sure we've had conversations about memory aids. And I think they're trying to ask him here, or like say that, you know, you're aware of these memory issues, or at least you're claiming that they have memory issues because of what she is saying now being false and incorrect. Tech says, do I believe her current memory is incorrect? Yes. Is that what you're saying? Your ex-wife made some pretty awful allegations against you, didn't she? Tech says she did, but she didn't know they were lying. I don't really know what to make of that. Now, in this one, they're talking about how Tectone apparently was saying, hey, you should be taking these medications or stuff, and they're like, do you have a pharmaceutical background? And Tech says, no, I do not. And that's pretty much where it's ended for now. Now, again, like I said, a lot of these messages back and forth are a bit muddy, and there's a lot that doesn't really seem to make sense or isn't lining up. We do have some more consistent, what seems to make sense given the context, but again, we'll wait and see. And when that transcript comes out, for shits and giggles, I'll take a look at it, see if I can verify it, maybe even do it on stream. But that brings us to a close for this video. If there's any more updates or Mizkif continues on this demon time as it appears to be, I will make sure to cover that for you guys. But hope you enjoyed it. Consider liking, subscribing, perchance a hype, and I'll talk to you guys later. Adios, peace, bye.